I don't have any problem with going to Europe, but I prefer the United States. And I prefer seeing the regular parts of the United States. I prefer going across the rural areas. I prefer the RV parks. I prefer the Walmart parking lots to the beaches and things like that. There's something normal to me about it. I come from regular stock, and I prefer that. I prefer being around that.
Justice Clarence Thomas loves being around regular people. He comes from regular stock. I call it normalcy. Well, if that's normal now, then maybe you're not regular people anymore. If you're just traveling across the country because you want to see the rural areas, that's just normal. Why is that such a big deal? Maybe because he's been doing things like this. Let's go.
For more than 20 years, Justice Thomas has accepted lavish vacation trips from a Republican megadonor without disclosing them, according to a new report from the nonprofit journalism site ProPublica. Island hopping on a super yacht through Indonesia's Lesser Sunda Islands, retreats at the luxury Adirondack resort Camp Topridge, all-male retreats at the exclusive Bohemian Grove in California. Trips that would cost a small fortune. Thomas and his wife Ginni have enjoyed them, and flights on a Bombardier Global private jet as well, all without paying, ProPublica reports. In a statement, Harlan Crow, the Dallas real estate billionaire who picks up the tabs for these trips, says he and Thomas have been friends since 1996. The hospitality we've extended to the Thomases over the years is no different from the hospitality we've extended to our many other dear friends. Crow adds that he and Justice Thomas have never discussed any pending or lower court case.
Oh, well, it's all solved then. As we're seeing what's going on with Clarence Thomas and these trips, these lavish trips on private jets to I've never heard of this place. I literally had to figure out how to pronounce it. The Adirondacks Mountains, I assume. Private resorts, sipping on wine, going through those rural, normal areas where all these dirty, disgusting people live. Oh, but we got to get back to the lavish areas. A few more details from this guy and his buddy. For more than 2 decades, records and interviews show that Thomas has accepted these luxury trips virtually every year from Harlan Crow without disclosing them. That might be the problem. Thomas has vacationed on Crow's super yacht around the globe, flown on his jet, and typically spends about a week every summer at his private resort in the Adirondacks. I hope I'm saying it right now. These trips appeared nowhere on his financial disclosures, and his failure to report the flights appears to violate a law passed after Watergate that requires justices and other federal officials to disclose most gifts. Ethics law experts have said this. He also should have disclosed his trips on the yacht, is what those experts also said. One more piece here. While these justices are required by law to disclose most gifts, the most gifts is kind of hanging me up, I got to be honest. There are a few rules on what justices can accept, gifts that they can accept. That's in contrast to the other branches of government, because members of Congress are generally prohibited from taking gifts worth $50 or more, and would need pre-approval from an ethics committee to take many of the trips that Thomas has accepted from Crow. That's my first problem here, Sharon. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
So we have these rules for Congress folks because of corruption possibilities, which they find 17 other ways to get their corruption money so they can do the bidding of these rich folks. But for the Supreme Court, they're just naturally above any kind of corruption just by nature because they were nominated by a president that many times said, I'm going to nominate this person because I know they're going to do my bidding. I'm just trying to figure out why this is the case.
Well, keep on trying, because Clarence Thomas wants us to believe that Target is too high end for him. Okay, it's too high end for him. When the truth is, he's been donning a thong and laying out on a super yacht. Okay, oiled up on a super yacht, and he wants us to believe that law you talked about, and you said something about Nixon. They just passed something like that yesterday. His statement says everything changed like, I don't know, yesterday, and it's just not true. It's not true. And the thing about it is that gets me, Jayar, there's nothing that seemingly we can do about it.
Maybe there is. Enter one AOC. She has some thoughts about what she can do about it. Let's watch.
For Clarence Thomas's impeachment. So the first question I have is, are you going to draft those articles of impeachment? And do you expect to have the support of many, if not most, of the House Democratic caucus?
So to get to the heart of your question, Congress is out of session for the next week. So that does give Democrats sometimes some time to strategize. And the way I feel about it is that I do think articles need to be introduced. If we decide strategically that the actual author of those articles and who introduces them may not be me, that's fine. I will support impeachment. But I just think that if no one's going to introduce it, I would certainly be open to doing so and drafting them myself. I think this is gone far, far beyond any sort of acceptable standard in any democracy, let alone an American democracy.
Now, Sharon, there is a solution there. I'm just not sure how well it's going to go, considering that they're pushing back on normal things like indictments for crimes. And I'm sorry, a grand jury bringing home that indictment, as they still say it's Joe Biden and someone else. But still, they're going to push back on this type of idea. Like, look at these libs coming for this honorable justice. My main problem is that maybe you should be impeached for that thong that you mentioned.
If ProPublica, they better not have a picture, okay? We appreciate the investigative journalism, but please do not release that. Let's keep that under seal. I think it's so rich. I just don't understand why she has to be, referring to AOC, the courageous one, and why more don't join her and say, no, we're going to go through with this. This is ridiculous. This is the woman that they wanted to go after for that dress, tax the rich dress that, she paid the money back. There was a true discrepancy there. This guy, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so I should have used the word will instead of just saying, well, you know what, there's nothing they can do about it. This is about will and resolve. In the end, the prediction is nothing will be done. He will be bathing and oiling. I don't even want to picture it. I see going on. But it's just too much. It's too much. And I don't want to do that to you. Not on a Friday, because I love you, brother. But it's just too much. They're stopping me. Someone said, stop it right now.
Well, I remember, it's only a slight payback. I can understand the imagery that you're proposing here, because last time that we did a show together on the Young Turks, we did talk about Ron DeSantis and his pudding fingers. And I didn't think you were very happy about the way that we described that.
I had nightmares. And it wasn't just pudding. And I said, would have taken it over the top. It was chocolate pudding, Jayar. Had it been butterscotch, we're done. We're done. And we can't be together anymore if you're going to keep going back to that. It's just one of the sicker things that comes to mind. And I know that he enjoys it and he could care less. But I do think he fears a growing chorus from AOC types. There's just not enough of her. And that's why he released that statement. Because normally he would just keep weighing in on things that his wife is working on and could care less what you think about it.
Yeah, Clarence Thomas is one of the more silent folks on the court, and he just doesn't have to say anything, and he moves right along.